Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today in this video, I will show you how to solve the net present value or NPV of a proposed project for Bangladesh Biscuit Limited using Excel. So for this, I'm sharing my entire screen. So as you can see in my screen, I have already attached the question. So let's start by understanding the question. Bangladesh Biscuit Limited is planning to launch a new cream sandwich biscuit product. The company expects to sell 7,000 packets in the first year, with sales growing by 8% annually for the next 5 years. The project requires an equipment investment for 175,000 and additional 35,000 in net working capital. The selling price is 48 per taka per packet and the variable cost is 20 per packet and the annual fixed cost is 95,000. The equipment will be depreciated using the straight line method over 5 years with no salvage value. The company's tax rate is 34% and because of this high risk project the required rate of return is 25%. Now all we have to find out the NPV of the project, whether the project should be accepted or rejected. Now we will write down all the relevant information in the left side of the Excel sheets so that we can use all this information during our analysis. So let's start. First we have a sales unit which is 7,000. By the time it has a growth, so the annual sales growth which is 8%, keeping it as decimal. And then we have a project life which is 6 years including the marketing period. And then we have a net working capital which is 35,000. And then we have an annual fixed cost which is 95,000. And then we have a variable cost per unit which is 20 taka. We have a selling price which is 48 taka. And then we have a equipment cost which is 175,000. We have a depreciation which is, we can easily find out the depreciation since it's in the straight line method. So the depreciation would be equipment cost divided by the project life. This is our annual depreciation. We don't have any salvage value, so it's 0. And then we have a tax rate of 34%. We have a cost of equity which is 18%. We have a required rate of return which is 25%. We'll use it as it reflects the highest risk. So now we will write the project cash flow. Estimation starting with particulars. Started from year 0, year 6. First we have a sales unit. In year 1 it was 7,000 using a log. In year 2 to year 6 it increases by 8%. So 1 plus, again using a cell reference, simply driving to year 6. This is our sales unit, selling price which was same for each year, which is 84 taka. I'm just using a log. Now we can simply find the sales revenue. We know the formula: sales revenue, sales unit into selling price. This is our sales revenue for each year. Now we will write the now we will write down the total variable cost for each year. So for variable cost, we know sales unit into cost per unit, variable cost per unit, again using log. So this is our variable cost for each year. Now we will deduct the variable cost, then we can find our gross profit for BBL, or we can also call it as the contribution margin. Now we will deduct the variable cost from the sales revenue. This will be our gross profit or contribution margin for BBL. So for contribution margin, sales revenue minus variable cost. So this is our contribution margin. Now we will write down the fixed costs of each year so that we can deduct from the contribution margin, which is 95,000, again using a cell. So here, now we will deduct the fixed cost so that we can find out our EBITDA, contribution margin minus fixed cost. So this is our EBITDA. Now we will write down the depreciation so that we can deduct the depreciation from the EBITDA. So our depreciation for year one was this. Again, log. Now we will deduct the depreciation from the EBIT, then it will be our EBIT. Now we find out our tax amount on EBIT. So EBITDA into our tax rate. Then we can find out our tax amount. Well, this is our tax amount for each year. Now we will deduct the tax amount so that we can find out our EAT, earning after tax. This is our earning after tax. Now we'll find out the OCF, operating cash flow. For this we'll follow bottom approach. In bottom approach, the formula is earning after tax plus depreciation. This is our OCF for each year. Now we'll adjust our costs. So first, investment in net working capital, which is our cash outflow. That's why I'm putting a minus before the amount. Since it's not mentioned whether the net working capital was recovered, so we are assuming that net working capital was fully recovered in year 6. So recovery of net working capital. Now we will adjust our equipment cost. Which was held in year 0. Since it's our cash outflow, that's why I'm using a minus before the amount. The equipment cost was not recovered, so the salvage value for the equipment was 0. Now we will find out the PCF. So the PCF formula is sum of So here is our PCF. Now we can find out our NPV. We know the NPV formula. First, required rate of return, and then our positive cash flows, and then minus our negative cash flow. Since in the negative cash flow it already in minus, so I'm using a positive sign so that positive and negative sign makes it positive. So this is our NPV. Now we will find out the IRR. We know the IRR formula, IRR into our values. So our IRR is 40%, which is so our NPV is positive and our IRR is also positive, which means the Bangladesh Biscuit Limited should accept the project as it expected to add value to the company. So now let's make our answer a little bit professional for this, using some colors.